This is Bob Charger for Character Driven Productions. Welcome to our pilot episode of Interesting Characters. A decade ago, Joe Magee had a vision to turn an old, dilapidated bar and rooming house into an authentic Irish pub, replete with Irish furnishings and craftsmanship. A place where members of the Irish and local community could come and experience authentic Irish music, dancing, libations, food, and fellowship in an atmosphere comparable to those he had experienced throughout his entire life and during those visits back to Ireland. Join us as we explore this labor of love and Herculean effort coming to fruition.
Well, when you think about sense of community, I feel like this is where we have a unique advantage. A pub in general is a place where people come for a chat and come to talk to, their friends and other folks, patrons that come into the pub, talk about sports, talk about music, whatever it might be.
I used to wallow here.
We're so excited for the 10-year anniversary and to have fresh faces come off the train and want to come into the bar and it not be covered in vinyl and Tyvek. It's wonderful. And it's been a long time coming and I'm so proud of him. He's really taken his time. He's really done everything right.
Wish I'd never learned to read. Comes way up behind, gets buried inside.
Was not impressed with the bar itself, first initial glance at the bar, but was very impressed with the people who run it. Joe Magee and the staff of people at Marty Magee's were very friendly and welcoming, and we quickly became my friends.
To show how much I've
Now that the mural is done and things have really kicked into high gear with the front of the building and the facade, now it's beautiful. It looks all like one building and the windows are all level. They used to be crooked, two different levels of the windows.
Well, I'll sit here explaining the wall.
So a big part of what we really did to the face of the bar is to change it from two discrete buildings into one cohesive Irish pub look. We brought together elements that we had delivered over from Dublin, including the corbels across the top of the bar, which came off of two different business offices in Dublin, and also the Smittix and Guinness Globe that we got from a bar in the Temple Bar section of Dublin. Those globes actually are owned by Guinness. When they install these globes on bars in Dublin, Guinness actually owns them and keeps them until, if the bar goes out of business, they take them back. It just so happened in this case we were able to get a few on a boat and ship them over here to the U.S. So there they are.
When we first came in this place, we used to be called Magee's years ago, and we walked around and talked about the kind of improvements and everything he wanted to do to the place. After I looked at it, he wanted an opinion. I felt like he should tear it down because the place was in really bad shape. So, long story short, 10 years we've been working on the place, tearing it apart little by little. We started with the bar downstairs. Most people are used to seeing bars in the middle of the room, having horseshoe bars. He was very intent. He had a vision in his mind of what he wanted the place to look like when it was done, which that's our biggest concern, is getting on the same page. And once he told me he wanted a back bar with all the bottles and everything behind him and that stuff, we went after that. He had owned it for about 4 or 5 years after that, and then he decided he was going to come upstairs here and improve this bar. So we spent about 6 or 8 months. This was 2 apartments at the time. We took them apart and just built the bar that we have up here right now. Downstairs, the bar that's downstairs was originally the basement. So once they excavated to put the road under the railroad, this all now became a second floor as well. So once we went downstairs and started doing the renovation, we realized there were some issues with the foundation and the age of the building. What we did was, there was 2 steps here that went up into the original room. And basically we took 18 inches back. So so that we can have a handicap access. So this weekend, this step will go away. You've got to come through either door, come completely into the bar, and then we'll have an ADA bathroom. We're gonna have a raised stage, probably about the height of the step. We'll come across. This wall will be going away. Once this wall goes away, you'll see completely out to the street through the front of the bar. And then the stage will probably go past that about a foot or two. Ed, basically, when he asked us to come through and try to lower the floor, once we took out the second set of steps, the original floor was, probably up to about this height here. So once we dug it down, we realized going through that the original foundation on the building, we were on grade. When they built the building 100 plus years ago, this was all underground. So when they dug it out, put people under the railroad, used to go over the tracks. I don't know if you know, the tracks are beside us. We have the Amtrak line beside us. So it was dug out years ago so that you could go under the tracks. When they did that, they exposed the side of the building. So when we got to it, everything was at this level here. So once we went down, we realized we were under the existing foundation of the building. So we had to pour a bunch of concrete, underdig the footings, and pour a new foundation. And we got to this side of the building. The reason why we had the wood wall is that foundation was completely shot and the wall was in bad shape. Actually, as we were demoing it, the whole thing kind of came down on us. They have a saying, you hear people say, they don't build them like they used to. And I guess you have to say thank goodness for that, because this place was, it really needed some love. When we had to put the pool bar in upstairs, we broke through from 2 units. There were 2 apartments that were up there from the original building. So we went through the wall and made that all one floor. So when we did that, we did the same thing. We put the LVL Versa lamps in and held the second floor up. So when we came down here, we now had to put supports under that floor to hold that floor. So we have one big beam that holds up the back of the building. Basically what's going on, there's the original building, and then there's 2 additions that are put onto the back of the building. That means the electric panel gets moved. We upgraded the whole circuit for the building. We went from, we have a 400 amp surface that's out back. And then this whole project on the side that we were doing was increasing the sewer system from 4-inch to 6-inch. It should be crowd ready now is what he was trying to do. He's trying to make sure that when he brings the Irish bands in, we can get plenty of bodies in here.
After we built this floor here and really changed this into a billiards room, being a sport that really garners a lot of dedication and loyalty here in Delaware County.
Magee's is a great place to come and shoot and play pool, have fun, eat some great food, drink with friends, and have a great time. Here at Marty Magee's, we have several tables for people to shoot and play pool. We have APA League and Millennium League. The leagues play all week long from Sunday through Friday.
He has 3 pool tables up here. My league is a Delaware County league, and there's 16 teams that shoot out of here, and just from my league. And so we have a lot of teams that will shoot nowhere else but here. He has top-notch equipment. He has no smoking, which is a big thing with a lot of people these days. And I mean, just look at the surroundings here. The balls are up to date, the tables are up to date, the felt is up to date, and people are standing in line to get in here to shoot. So not only have I shared his vision, but I'm flourishing in it as well.
We slept in the open like
So this is the Irish history mural that we put together for the side of the pub. A good friend of mine, Eric Oakday, and myself collaborated on the overall design of this mural.
So my name is Eric Oakday, and I'm a muralist. I work a lot out of the city of Philadelphia, but I also happen to grow up a block away from Joe Magee. So he knew what I did for a living, and he reached out at one point a couple years ago and said, I have this idea for a mural on my bar, would you be willing to come and take a look? So we got together and we checked out the wall. He showed me, he said, this is your canvas. And he had some ideas. And from that point on, we just started kicking a Photoshop file back and forth. I took some measurements of the wall, and I started assembling what it is that he wanted.
but it's over on, didn't you know?
we take a look at it in the upper right-hand corner, you see the one and only John Barry, Commodore Barry as we know it. There's a bridge right down the street called the Commodore Barry Bridge. That's how many people know Commodore John Barry. Most people don't know he was an Irishman and came over here and is one of the most decorated war heroes in the United States.
So some of the elements that Joe really felt were important to include were scenes of Duffy's Cut.
On the lower right-hand side, we have Duffy's Cut. Duffy's Cut were a number of Irish immigrants that came over to the United States to work on a section of railroad known as the Duffy's Cut. This was a section of railroad that stretched, through Malvern, heading out west, and a number of Irish immigrants worked on that project. Now, those Irish immigrants were buried in a mass grave because apparently they had cholera as an epidemic swept through at that time. Bill Watson, one of my fraternity brothers at Immaculata College, recently did a fair amount of research, actually over the past 5 or 6 years, and they dug up a number of those mass graves, and they found out that a lot of the individuals that were buried there actually had blunt trauma wounds, gunshot wounds, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of research being done to what really happened at Duffy's Cut.
Some type of commemoration of those railroad workers, the Molly Maguires, and the handprint.
The handprint that you see above is Alex Campbell, one of the Molly Maguires that were hung from the gallows. Alex Campbell put his hand in the dirt in his prison cell and put his hand on the wall before he went out to be hung, and he said, "May this mark be testament that we were tried without proper trial, and that this mark may never leave this cell." And so while it's a lot of folklore, that mark that is in that cell today has been painted over, it's been wiped off, it's been cleaned. They even apparently did some spackle work over it, and the handprint keeps coming back. So it's a bit of a folklore there in Jim Thorpe, but it ties into the whole story of the Molly Maguires. We see the actual Molly Maguires and Jack Kehoe. Jack Kehoe was the leader of the Molly Maguires. The Molly Maguires, kind of similar to Duffy's Cut, were Irish immigrants that came over here to the U.S. for work, specifically landing in the section of Carbon County, Pennsylvania, around Jim Thorpe, also known as Monshop. They worked on the railways all throughout that area, and the Molly Maguires, they were really treated, in general, the Irish immigrants were treated pretty poorly, and the Molly Maguires was essentially almost like a band of brothers, a group or an organization that pulled together to fight for Irish rights in that area. And so a lot of the Molly Maguires, unfortunately, were tried for crimes such as murder, crimes that they were actually never really tried for. As you can see right above, Jack Kehoe is the old jail at Jim Thorpe. That's where a number of the Molly Maguires were hung from the gallows for these crimes without proper trial. As you progress through the mural left to right, that's when we get into all the real, like, free Ireland, sort of the 6 counties in the north that are currently under British rule. You have a number of symbolism going on here. You have the gas mask boy from Bogside Corner, the Free Derry Memorial, a couple of scenes from the Civil Rights Movement. Of course, you got the big man,
Michael Collins. Michael Collins is all the way at the top left. Scenes about the Troubles and some kind of recognition of those murals. So we have there's a mural that says "You are now entering Free Derry." We have a scene of that in the mural. Also a kid with a gas mask, and that appears on the side as well.
It's just an overall pictorial piece on Irish history, both from here, from the U.S. as immigrants have come over, and also really depicting what this bar is all about, which is one free 32-county Ireland.
So, but the entire, one of my challenges was, being able to string all this stuff together.
I really put in the themes and the aspects that I wanted to cover as an Irish history mural on the side of my pub. And Eric really, in his master craft, kind of really brought everything together.
And like I said, my inspiration was from those murals. And those murals were very stark, like really intense imagery, very dark imagery. So everything, all that stuff appeared in black. And it was overlaid on top of this landscape. And I remember Joe was like, "We're gonna really freak people out here. Can we need to figure out a way to lighten this up." So I had this idea of, instead of peppering the design with Irish flags everywhere, I made the entire thing an Irish flag if you look at it. So a lot of that stuff is sort of darker green, white, and orange values on lighter values. And when you get back far enough, you can see the flag.
something to tie us.
Most recently in Marty Magee's, we expanded our tap collection from 8 of our basic drafts on up to 16 drafts. And in, I'd say in Marty Magee's fashion, we just didn't want to buy an off-the-shelf, tap tower or whatever. So we actually built this one. I actually made a design for it. It's a 4-inch sewer pipe. What's nice about sewer pipe is it's strong, it's sturdy, it rocks and rolls here. It also doesn't rust, which is important. So we get a little bit of rust sometimes on the outside threads and whatnot. But essentially what we did was I took these 2 sections here, and I had, what you'll see, 2 manifolds built on, and then we had a custom plumb from our tap guy, Damien. He basically custom plumbed the front of both of these sides, and we ran 2 trunks up, complete with glycol, which cools all these beers down. So going from the cold room all the way to here, we have 2 trunks, 8 products a piece, plus 2 glycol lines, which basically cool everything off as it's going through the lines, and it gives us the ability to serve one of the best pints of beer in Delaware County.
Something sure without words.
Guinness Stout will never die. Like, that beer will live forever. A 20-ounce pint of Guinness, let it be known now, 10.3 calories per ounce. Alright guys, I'm Ryan Byrne with Diageo Guinness USA here in Philadelphia at Marty Magee's. After meeting Joe Magee of Marty Magee's, he felt it was incredibly important to touch on the authenticity of keeping the Irish tradition within his Irish pub. So he had me come in and train his bar staff and wait staff on the perfect pint, various things of the brewing process, some tasting mechanics, and some storing and serving mechanics. Cheers.
Something that sounds sad and undone, unfinished, unworn.
Keep it straight under the spout. You push the tap handle forward. Does anyone know why you pull it first and then push it?
Something to
The reason why Guinness people are so fanatical about the head and the bishop's collar on top of that beer is because that's basically a blanket sitting on top of the flavor and the carbonation in the pint. If you have a head that's tiny, either the beer's too cold or the pressure's too low. Guinness is a blonde lager. It's very light, it's very crisp and clean. Alright guys, today we're going to be focusing on the proper pour for Guinness Draft. So first, we're going to make sure the gravity glass is at a 45-degree angle. From there, pull from the base. Let that sweet goodness come out. After a few seconds, slowly straighten the glass until you hit the bottom of the heart. From there, you want to let it cascade all the way so all the flavors can release, the head of the beer can form properly, and it eventually tastes the best for the customer.
You are on 103.2 Dublin City FM, Shinné, here coming from the heart of Dublin town on the banks of the River Liffey, Bollia Atlia, broadcasting to the world on the internet and also to our local population here on 103.2 Dublin City FM. And when I say to the world, we are broadcasting across the pond and currently broadcasting into Philadelphia, and I should be joined from the borough of Prospect Park by my good friend Joe Magee. How are you doing, Joe?
Hey Mick, how are you?
I'm in great form, and yourself?
I'm great, man. I gotta get your man there in the studio, get the card trick going so I can learn all the words to these Irish songs.
Are you enjoying the poetry?
Jesus. Huh?
Are you enjoying the poetry? It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I look forward to meeting the gentleman when I get over there in Dublin.
Yeah, well, we'll set up a meeting with John, no problem at all. He's a good man here. So, Joe, look, the reason why we've had you on before many times, actually, for those of our listeners who can cast their minds back, Joe Magee is based in Prospect Park, just outside the city of Philadelphia. He's currently heavily involved in the revival of Irish culture in that particular area. He's the proprietor of a great bar there called Marty Magee's, but also lead singer and frontman of a great band called Galway Guild. But you're currently under a phase of renovation there in Marty Magee's. Joe, tell us about that.
Yeah, so as you remember from your last trip over here, Mick, we've been working predominantly on the first floor of the pub, as well as the facade. You saw the new windows we did, the floor-to-ceiling glass that opened up in kind of a bistro style. So, you know, a traditional Irish pub feel with sort of modern American bistro kind of vibe is what we were going for in the front. But you know, what we've been focusing on for the past, I'd say I guess it was 3 or 4 months since you last been over, is really the revitalizing the first floor and making it feel more like a traditional Irish pub. You know, from when I was over there in Ireland just recently, I can't tell you how many pictures I took of so many different pubs over there, and that's what we're really trying to kind of bring that back to America. Things like flagstone floors and you know, solid deep woods and those sorts of things on the wall. If you remember correctly, the you know, the stage where you and the lads played at the pub last time, that whole area is gone now. We have going in the next 2 weeks is a real proper stage, some new jacks, some new toilets there, you know, and all new sort of wall coverings and whatnot.
Okay, it sounds exciting. Again, for those of our listeners out there, Joe Magee was over here during the Easter commemorations, and he played with my own band, the Druids, as we toured around the Easter tour. So it was great to have Joe with us. So your memories of that, Joe?
Oh, you kidding me?
I know he went to Joe went to the GAA club in Cabra in Finbars. We were doing a gig on there on Easter Saturday, and I don't think you left there until about the following week or something. Is that right?
Yeah, I found you know, I found my rental car that was there still for about a week past. So all good. I saved a lot of parking in Dublin City, that's for sure.
Absolutely, you did. Yeah. It was great to have you with us. It was great to have you playing with us as well, Joe. So fair play to you, good man.
Thank you, sir.
Tell us about this idea of reviving Irish culture in that area, because I don't know whether our listeners are familiar, but Commodore Barry made his way to Philadelphia, a great Irishman. He started the American Navy, isn't that right?
Yes, that's right. That's absolutely correct. John Barry was, you know, one of the most decorated, you know, war heroes in the American Navy, and was the founder of the true founder of the American Navy. And as you know, he's featured on the mural right on the side of the pub here.
Yeah. So there is a deliberate attempt by yourself and others to revive culture there, Irish culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we're in Delaware County, which is probably the same distance as Cabra from, let's say, Temple Bar area as far as distance goes. And, you know, Philadelphia Irish is really strong. There's several bands. There's more bands in Philadelphia. It's funny, when all the bands that, in Philadelphia around Paddy's Day, it's, you know, everybody's traveling other places, to other cities to play, because there's so many bands in this area. It's such a concentrated area of you know, Irish Americans that are in the area. But in Delaware County, you know, there's Havertown, which is, you know, they've said before is the sort of 33rd county and that kind of thing.
Yes.
But really trying to get the youth today to understand what it's all about going to an Irish pub. I know that's what, like, my mission's all about. You know, when you come into Marty's, all this history's on the wall. Our local history, the Molly Maguires, Duffy's Cut, you know, but even more than that, kind of what's happening in Ireland today that we can sort of transcend and bring into, you know, the Philadelphia suburban area.
Yes.
That's sort of what leads my drive, if you will.
Well, I think you're certainly to be commended for that, and you can, when we go to Prospect Park, we can certainly see them efforts happening, and people coming out in droves to see gigs and be part of that, Irish community, really, Joe, isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Listen, fair play, and thanks very much for coming on, and the best of luck, of course, with your celebrations for the 10-year anniversary as well of Marty Magee's.
Yeah, August 26th. You believe it? It's 10 years already.
Wow.
It's what a feat it's been.
All right.
I'm hoping in year 11 I make $1.
I'm sure you will, Joe. I'm sure you will. So okay. we're very much looking forward to seeing yourselves in September anyway.
I'll see you there. I look forward to having you guys.
Okay, good stuff. And that's Joe Magee from Prospect Park, from Marty Magee's in Philadelphia. Thank you very much for joining us, Joe. And we'll talk to you again very soon down along the way. Thanks again, Joe.
All right, cheers, guys.
Things off my chest, and you're the one who knows me best.
I'm happy to be able to come here today to say a couple words on how Marty Magee's is impacting us here in a positive way,
promoting business, helping our vision here with our Lincoln Avenue Streetscape program. As you can see, that's well underway. We're hoping to have this done within a few months. Just like with Joe and Angela, they certainly have taken a corner bar and turned it into a traditional Irish pub right here in downtown Prospect Park. They've had their challenges to do it, but they certainly have come a long way from some permit delays. They've had bridge floodings, and they also have tenants that don't know how to cook here. So they've been pretty much, on target getting it all done, and we appreciate what they've done. Certainly not only with the business building, but also how they've supported the community here through the Irish heritage groups that Joe supports here. We also have the 4th of July Association, our library board, the volunteer fire company, and of course the PTA for the local school, Prospect Park Elementary. But none of them compare to the support that Joe throws behind law enforcement here in town, whether it's just providing some friendship and a place for the guys to hang, up to supporting just about any endeavor that they ask them to participate in.
The buddy bench is a bench where kids can sit if they're feeling left out, and hopefully other kids will see them sitting there and go over to them and try to make friends with them. I got the idea for the buddy bench when my grandmom showed me an article about a boy in England who actually got a buddy bench for his school. Not only were we able to raise money for the one bench, surprisingly, with the help of Marty Magee, we were able to raise more money for 4 more benches for the other schools in our district.
Our relationship with Marty Magee's is a good one. We have a motto in AOH, it's friendship, unity, and Christian charity. Joe exhibits that all around, not only being a member, but he gives back to the community constantly all the time. Stages us, has our social events here, and he gives back to like the libraries, the township, along with just being an all-around great guy.
Here we are for the grand reopening of Marty Magee's. We couldn't fit the party in the beer garden, so we obviously went out in the parking lot. Blackthorn's crushing it. Me and Angela are here. All our friends are here. I can't believe how many people came out for this. We expected maybe 100. We got about 400 or 500 maybe here inside, down in the pub.
An unbelievable transformation over the course of the last few years. Right here, and starting a resurgence in the great town of Prospect Park.
Joe, happy 10th anniversary, you're the man. What a great event. So we're so happy to be here.
I know you think of me like a stranger, but I'm here to stay.
I'll tell you, Joe and his staff have done a heck of a job for a bunch of Irishmen. Well, Irish and German, they're all similar. They all love the drink and they all love the dance and party. And so you go out and the vibe is there. The German food is here, the German beer is here, and we're all gonna have a good time. It is South Philly. That's what it's all about.
The Brothers Grimm, famous authors, were German.
I think one thing for me personally is the fact that over my 10 years, I've had my parents here, friends and family. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, my mother passed away, we came back to Magee's to get together. When my sister passed away, where's the first place we thought of? Marty Magee's. So I'm sure when I turn 60, which will be a sad day, I'll be here as well.
You think of me like a stranger, I'm here to stay if you want me to.
Well, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the program. Can it be a decade ago that Marty Magee's first opened? For Character-Driven Productions, this is Bob Charger.
We don't know, it's bigger than ours, fired up, push, shove, down your